You know, growing up all of my life, I was never the biggest person in the room. In fact, I was always the smallest person within the room at all times. No matter the setting, it didn't matter. High school, before high school, I was always the smallest in the class. You know, I remember my teachers, they're like, oh, damn, he's pretty short for grade 8. Like, I was genuinely 4'7" in grade 8 and 4'11" in grade 9, 80 pounds soaking wet. So to put that into perspective, I was genuinely small all my life until I took that first step into my fitness journey. And it genuinely changed my whole life. Up until the age of 16, I was scared of lifting weights because I played basketball all the time and I didn't want it to mess up my shot. How stupid was I? And that just kept feeding into that insecurity. You know, every room I walked in, I was always the smallest. At 18 years old, I was still 115 pounds. You know, 2 years ago, I was 115 pounds, brother. Put that into perspective. The average man is like, what, 180? Getting in shape, eating right, being healthy, you know, lifting heavy weights. You're going to feel great, bro. You're going to have the energy to put into all areas of your life. You know, a lot of you guys have these obligations. You know, everyone has obligations that they have to tend to within life. But why don't you make your health an obligation? Why don't you make looking your best every single day, everywhere you go out, your obligation? If you made that your obligation, you would see your whole life change in front of your eyes. And I felt this firsthand. You know, I was doing every single bad habit you can name, you know, porn, you know, I wasn't doing drugs or nothing like that, but I was addicted to video games. I was addicted to all this dopamine, all this useless dopamine that was getting me nowhere, but it was keeping me to live my life third person. You know, I wasn't genuinely locked into my life. Brother, the thing is, you should not have it all figured out. You know, you shouldn't have all the habits figured out. You shouldn't have anything figured out. You need to go through the fire. You need to figure out who you are through all that pain and suffering. You know, until I was 18, like I said, I didn't know shit about life. You know, I thought I was just going to make $1 million. I was going to get in shape. It's going to be easy. And that's a big misconception. You know, I've been through a whole bunch of shit. You know, I've started businesses that failed because I didn't put in enough work. You know, and if you see someone who's genuinely doing good in life, a lot of people tend to envy, you know, I deserve to be there. No, you don't. That person, they sacrificed. They put in the time when you were out at the bar. They put in the time where you were jerking off. You don't deserve anything. But what it should do is light a fire within you. You know, it should always light a fire within you. It should come from a place where, you know, I don't deserve to be there yet because I haven't put in the work, but I'm going to fucking put in the work now. I'm going to put in that work. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start the business. I'm going to lock in for 6 hours a day on something that's going to serve my life. And that's how you should operate at all times. You need to develop yourself to the person you see within your mind. You know, who's that person? Visualize him right now. Visualize that person. What does he do? Does he wake up early? Does he get it done? Does he read in the morning? Does he work on a business? Does he get in shape? Or does he just do bullshit that you're doing now? You know, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, bro. I still play video games sometimes. But I only do that shit. Only if I actually accomplish some goals. You know, if I actually did something that was worth, you know, if I actually did something that's going to propel me forward into being the person I want to be when I grow older. You know, you don't want to live life drifting. Because that's what everyone does. Everyone fucking drifts. You know, they're like, oh, I'm going to lock in soon. I'm going to lock in, bro. You know, winter arc's coming up. I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to pump some iron. I'm going to start the business. You know, I got the ideas. Just do it, bro. Just do it. Talking about it is just going to give you a little release of dopamine to the point where you already got your reward. You told your brain you already got the reward, and now you can't even start doing the thing. You know, I used to do that all the time. I used to tell my family, you know, man, I just joined Hustlers University. I'm going to make 5K from job shipping every day, you know, and I didn't even do it. Didn't even do it. So keep your goals to yourself. Write them down. Start attacking every single day. And man, then you'll see the true success. Then you'll see the fruits of your labor every single time you put in that work. It's okay to use little things like video games. It's okay to use things that you enjoy that aren't destructive. Don't use them as a destructive habit. Don't use porn. Don't use drugs. Don't use anything like that. But I'm saying, if you want to dabble in a little bit of fucking Fortnite, bro, make sure every single day you're showing up for yourself no matter what. And if you are not, and you're still doing those things, you're still indulging in those habits, that's how you know it's a vice. That's how you know it's a bad habit that has control over your life, no matter what. It all stems from here. It all stems from your mind. That's it. It all stems from your mind. Every single time you give in to the fucking voice in your head telling you, you know, I can go jerk off, you know, it's fine, you know, I had a long day. No. That's where you start backtracking. I've been through it every single time. I've been through the loops over and over and over. I fell back so many times, more times than I can count. More times. But I get back up and I try again. I try to get better as a person. You know, once you develop as a person, you can't take that back. You can't take it back. It's a skill. You know, I use this analogy in most of my videos, but look at the people who win the lottery. A lot of people blow it. Like, I think it's some outrageous number, like over 50% or something like that. I don't know the full number. But you know why they blow it? Because they didn't earn it. They just got lucky. You know, life is based on a lot of luck, but you have to make your own luck. You have to make your own luck by showing up every single day. You don't want to win the lottery. You know, a good physique is so highly valued within society because you have to fucking show up every single day. Bodybuilding is hard. It's a 24-hour sport. You know, you can't miss a meal. You can't miss a workout. You can't do bullshit. You can't drink alcohol, really, because that shit's going to negate your gains. You can't do bullshit and expect results. That's why getting in shape is the best thing you can do for your life. And you don't want to live a life of insecurity. You don't want to be overweight and have that pudgy ass stomach, you know, small arms. You don't want to be skinny like I was. You don't want to live a life that isn't worth living. If you're not living the life you see within your mind, you need to do one thing. Analyze what you're doing every single day. Change it. Simple. Switch those bad habits in for good habits. You know, I used to not love reading up until high school, and I read this book and it changed my whole perception on life. You create your own reality based on the actions you take every single day. Every single day you have the opportunity to show up for yourself, to get jacked, to make money. But when you don't, that's when you stay the same. There's a version of you out there, brother, that genuinely wakes up every day, knows he has to attack the day. You know, there's a version of you who goes to the gym every single day. There's a version of you who doesn't miss a meal, who eats clean, who gets it done regardless of how he feels. You just have to go get him. And simple. So if you want to keep living within insecurities, sure. I mean, you can live that life, or you can show up every single day. If you took any value from this video, go ahead and drop me a subscription. I'm going to be making videos more often because I am not perfect. I've been slacking on my goals. You know, I've been doing bullshit, simply. And I'm going to show up as accountability every fucking week. Every week I'm going to be posting these. So without further ado, I'll see y'all boys in the next one. I hope y'all took some value from this. And Keegan Harrison is back. We back, boys. So I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.